paradise, the place you long for all your life. UNA University, manifesting all your dreams. With paradise, your land is home. Writing contracts on your own. Protect your loved ones every day. Knowledge goes a long, long way. UNA University for me. UNA University for me. UNA paradise all your life. University all your dreams. Land is home on your own every day. Long, long way. UNA University for me. Welcome to your paradise, the place you long for all your life. I'm yours truly, Diva Laree. Welcome, 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 welcome. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's do it. Yes, 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 yes. UNA. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Just making sure I got all my wonderful things we're going to talk about today at hand with me. I want to welcome everybody. I had a nerve to drop everything. One moment. All right, so we're getting into this thing today. I want to welcome everybody. This is Open Session. I'm yours truly, Diva Laree, representing for UNA Republic, UNA University, United Nations from America, where we help you find your social freedom, your financial freedom, and most importantly, your spiritual freedom. Let's go. Let's go. Today we're talking about legal systems versus universal, natural, and spiritual law. All right. Legal systems versus universal, natural, and spiritual law. So we're going to get into that today. And I'm just making notes. I hope everybody is good. Let me give a shout out. We are broadcasting on TikTok, X, YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. Okay, I got it. TikTok, X, Twitch, YouTube, and Rumble. Also, find us at unarepublic.com. We're broadcasting live there. So if anything goes on with our systems, you'll always be able to get us at unarepublic.com or find us on any of the other platforms, Twitch, Rumble, X, YouTube, and one other one that I can't remember. Okay, so let's get into this now. First of all, I want to make sure you all know if you're interested in having a trust. And trust me, you need a trust. All right, you can get this trust package. Find us at unauniversity.com, unauniversity.com. All right, so get this trust package. All right, what it comes with is all of your documents needed for your trust that will go on record. It comes with a membership badge, comes with an allodial ID. Now, I got some newer people that are watching, and I want to preface the importance of a trust or reiterate the importance of a trust. This is where you are taking control of your all capital letter name that's been floating in the system that belongs to you. Okay. This includes your social security number, your passport. It includes your driver's license and anything else that has been purchased with your name. Okay. So you can go ahead and make sure you take control of it. It comes with this membership badge. Now, when we were going through the whole thing about the COVID and people were being forced by their jobs to take a shot, those who were smart enough to come to us, we gave them this badge and that's all they needed. And their job had to back off. There was no other questions. It wasn't no, well, why you need? No, it was just, here's this badge. And what does this badge do? What this badge did was it established that they have a guide. But they already know. Listen, one of the things about UNA, we are recognized as a religious organization. And so the reason why that's important, religion is a very powerful term. And when you establish what the rules of your God is, the job's got to back off. Okay. So if your God is saying, we don't put that in our systems, they got to back off. And that's what they did. So that's why it's important, to have this, and we do provide this with your trust package, your allodial ID, which has your spiritual name on the back. You can always have access to your records, your documents, your certified documents that are on record by scanning this QR code. Also, okay, we're going to put them on record for you. And very importantly, it comes with an education so that you understand what it is that you're putting on record and why. What are you creating? I have a lot of people who have come to me and they say, well, somebody put our documents on record, but we still not free. That's because you don't have a clue of what you signed. We want to make sure you have a clue. Not only that, but anything dealing with sovereignty is dealt with in the 8-session course that comes with this package. So where you're talking about, of course, your trust, your passport, your social security number, taking that over. If you're talking about, all kind of other things, the SF 181, anything else that deals with sovereignty that you've heard about is going to be dealt with in that class. So I encourage you to get this package. Find us at UNA Republic, UNAuniversity.com, UNAuniversity.com. Also, my people on TikTok, name, number, email. Name, number, email, leave it in the inbox. Let's go. I want to welcome everybody in the house. I am Angel. Hey, I am Angel. I am Angel is one of those people that helped me on this path when I first got started, this spiritual path. And she has been very, very important in helping me in my walk. I want to welcome everybody in YouTube. User, welcome. If you're in the house, say something so that I can see ya. 1 second. Let me see what my comments are. Jersey, welcome. I need more eyes. What, you trying to say I'm squinting? Are you trying? Let me clean my specs, because hold on, I don't know what Jersey in here joning on me. Jersey trying to talk trash to Diva. I don't know what that is, but okay. Hold on, let me clean my eyes. And then we're going to move forward. All right, the very other thing, the next thing I want to talk about is tapping into your supernatural powers. I want you to get this book. Women, men too. If you're looking to tap into your supernatural powers, get this book. But my sisters, I definitely would encourage you to get this book because it deals with a lot of things that we have been told as women that are not true. Okay. If you really want to tap into your supernatural powers, get this book. We go into a lot of detail on the insides of who you are, who we are on a molecular level, who the male is, why it's important to know who you're dealing with and who you're doing business with. Tap into your supernatural powers. Get this book. You can find it at UNAuniversity.com. Lastly, the beginner law book. Okay. If I'm going into court, I'm having this. These are my laws that I put on record. Okay. When we're talking about this, you can find the maxims of law in here, and y'all know how high the maxims of law are. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. With this book, if you get the physical copy, it's going to come with the hierarchy of law chart, the universal laws chart, and the vibratory frequency. All of these are in the book. We give you additional copies because we want you to put them up on your walls, on your mirrors, on your refrigerator, because we want these laws to become a part of you. Also, if you get the physical copy, it's going to come with the civilization cycle as well as the societal totem pole. UNA Beginner Law Book. You can get this at unauniversity.com. Okay. Yarnell, welcome. Rashad, welcome. Let's see who else is in the house. Okay. So all my people on TikTok, like and share and subscribe and follow. All those good things. Okay. So let's get into this now. Once again, I want to welcome everybody. We are broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Rumble. Okay, so our session tonight, legal system versus universal, natural, and spiritual law. All right, legal system versus natural, universal, and spiritual law. Okay, so I want to get into this because a lot of people are not recognizing how the system actually works. And I've heard this so many times where people say, well, they just do what they want to do. They don't respect the rules or the laws. Okay. And I understand that. I get the frustration. But the problem is a lot of people do not even know what the rules are. And so if you don't know what the rules are, all you're doing is just complaining. You're not recognizing how you are harming yourself. And it has to do with the fact that we have not been taught what true law is or what law truly is. Okay. So now the reason why we're going through legal system versus universal laws is because we need you to understand how they play or interplay with each other. Okay. A lot of times we're not recognizing how true universal laws are. This is why I start from the top, because it's like you have to have the universal law side, because even when you're dealing with this legal system, those universal laws are still at play. And we want to recognize how this system even has to deal with universal laws. Okay, so that way, when you are dealing with these entities, you have a better understanding of what's going on. All right, so now let's first of all establish law versus legal. Okay, when we're talking about law, we're talking about things dealing with God. Okay, we're talking about what your God-given rights are, for example. That's law. We're talking about law, we're talking about universal laws, like things that man can't change. Okay. When we're talking about legal, we're talking about some codified rules established by man. All right. When we're talking about legal, we're talking about codified rules established by man. So when I say codified, codes, that's meaning written rules or codes coming from man. Okay. So now, one of the things about law is that you've got to recognize they don't change. They are what they are. A law is what it is, regardless of what you apply it to. It's not going to be what is law for the black people, but it's not law for the white people, or any kind of reverse. It is what it is all the time. That's law. When we're talking about the legal system, then you're going to have a difference. Okay. And sometimes it's application or the way that it's implemented might be different. Legal deals with man's codes, even though the truth is it should not change even there. But when man is involved, you're going to get some changes and fluctuations. And we're going to get into how you deal with that as well. Okay, so we're understanding law deals with God, legal deals with man, and man's created codes. Okay, so now I want to go into this universal natural laws, maxims of law. Put this on the screen for me, Savvy. All right, so when we're looking at this hierarchy of law chart that we talk about, okay, make sure we stay on the topic. Universal laws. We understand that universal laws deal with whatever energies you put out. Natural laws, again, they deal with the natural ways of all objects and beings which have manifested in the third dimension. It also deals with abundance, that we live in abundance. All right. When we're talking about laws of maxim, these are laws that come directly from the Bible. They're also known as God's laws. These laws are your God-given rights that we have not been taught about. Okay. And they're notice when this is a hierarchy. This is how high these laws are. And when you're in court, these maxims of law, they play a role. That's why they tell you, you swearing on the Bible, so help you God. Well, those are the laws that you're swearing about. And they're telling you to swear, so help you God, whatever your God is. And the thing is, this is why we have the universal law, or the UNA law book, or the beginner law book. We have that because, again, those maxims of law, we have come to ignore them and think that, oh, they just, oh, well, some of us are just clueless about them. But you got to learn how to stand on them because they have to respect your God. Don't tell me to come into your court and swear on the Bible, or swear whatever, so help me God. And then you mean this God doesn't have laws? Well, what God are you talking about? Well, I'm gonna give you the laws of my God so you understand. That's what the laws of maxim deal with. And so now let's do this now, where we're talking about the laws of maxim and you're swearing on the Bible, so help you God. You're in a legal system and they're telling you to swear, so help you God. That is a combination right there of the universal laws as used by a legal system, or universal, in this case, maxims of law used by a legal system. And so I needed to be made clear because I've had, I get it. I have some atheists that I know, and I respect that. Well, if that's your belief, that's your belief. But what you want to do is keep your mouth very much shut about being an atheist when you're stepping into this legal system. Why? You want to recognize that your power stands with whatever God you've told them you've chosen. Some of us don't ever tell what God but that's what your power is. Why are they telling you to do this? And raise your right hand. Oh, raise your right hand and swear. That's why. The laws of maxim. So you got to know who your God is. And for me, I'm putting it on paper before I set foot in this court, letting you know what my God has said and what my God-given rights are. Okay? So you see that? Laws of maxim. They're very high. Respect them. And if you are an atheist, please know you better pretend like you got a God when you step into this legal system, because if you're not recognizing that, they're going to take away your rights because you got no God. I need that to be clear. Next, I want to go into federal codes. All right, we're going past. Here's a sovereign. A sovereign is a being that is master of self. Okay. Contract law. That's dealing with how we sovereigns contract with each other in the private. Treaties are laws made between two sovereigns for land or property. Constitution is your laws as a sovereign that you create for your corporation. Now, I want to get down here to federal codes. Federal codes are underneath constitutions. And notice that says codes. Now, I need to establish this. When these things that you've been told in this society that are laws, like a seatbelt law, or a speeding law, these are not laws. They are codes, statutes, or ordinances. They call them laws, but the truth is they are not. Just because they call it something doesn't mean that's what it is. It is a code, a statute, or an ordinance. And you might be saying, well, what's the difference? Okay. Laws come from God or sovereigns, not from corporate entities. I'm going to say this again for the people in the back of the room. Laws come from God or sovereigns, not from corporate entities or dead fictitious entities. The entities that you deal with on a regular basis, they are truly private, dead fictitious corporations. And I'm going to get into that in a second. They cannot create laws. They can only create codes, statutes, and ordinances. Pay attention to where I'm going. Federal codes, however, are codes that we respect. Why? Because these codes are in harmony with the laws of Maxim. Most of your federal codes are in harmony with the laws of Maxim, meaning they're going to protect your God-given rights. Now, I need this to be made clear. Federal codes will protect your rights. That don't mean federal agents will. You better know the codes. This is why I go into this in UNA University. We deal with this because of the simple fact that there are all of these codes there for your protection, but nobody ever uses them. So let me break this down etymologically. Federal means a covenant with God. So we back to the religious now. Comparing this in the legal system. Federal, and you can look this up, etymologically means a covenant with God. Why are all these universal and spiritual things involved in the legal system? Why? Because again, they're using this, the laws, the real laws, inside of this legal system. So federal meaning a covenant with God, anybody who is a federal agent, they have a responsibility and a duty to protect God's property. Well, what is God's property? You. You are God's property. And so they have a duty. And all of your federal agents, they too have to take an oath that ends with, so help me God. Once again, why is God, a universal entity or a spiritual entity, involved in this legal system? Okay, because they have to take part in the universal aspect of this dimension as well. Okay, so with all of that being said, federal codes we deal with because, once again, they are in harmony with the maxims because they will protect your God-given rights. And those of us who are sovereign, those of us who like to operate in the private, we're going to deal with federal codes. We're not dealing with codes, statutes and ordinance of a corporation, which is the next thing on this list. As you see here, a corporation is a dead, fictitious entity. It operates under the laws of the Constitution developed by the sovereign. It does not have the ability to create laws. It can only create codes, statutes, and ordinances. And so when you're talking about a seatbelt law or whatever laws they have, dry speeding law, they're not laws, they're codes, statutes, and ordinances that are created by a dead fictitious entity. And so let's understand, we stop at federal codes for the simple fact that, once again, at this point, these are codes that will protect your God-given rights. But when you get down here, anything corporation and below, this is where you give up your God-given rights. Let me say it again for the people in the back of the room. When you start doing business with corporations, this is where you give up your God-given rights. They want you to sign some kind of document saying that you're under their code, statutes, and ordinances. So this is why you sign on your driver's license, or you're signing the birth certificate, or you're signing the SF 181 form showing yourself as an employee of the corporate entity, because you're saying you're giving up your God-given rights so that you can adhere to these code, statutes, and ordinances and become a citizen. As a citizen, you do not have rights, you have privileges that are given to you by the corporation you sign under. This is why we create trusts, so that we take back our God-given rights and we stand as a sovereign. All right? If you have questions, I want you to put them in the comment section. If you have disagreements, put them in the comment section. I'd love to hear them. Okay? So, we're recognizing that as a citizen under the dead corporation, you don't have rights. You have privileges, which is why they'll tell you, oh, well, you know, driving is a privilege. They're talking to you as a citizen. When you're sovereign and you have God-given rights, well, then driving is a privilege. Excuse me. If you have God-given rights, driving is your God-given right. All right. Let's go into this now. Starting with the traffic ticket. What's going on with the traffic ticket? So let's understand that a traffic ticket is a contract. It is a court of law. And so one of the things that people are not understanding is that when a cop gives you a traffic ticket, they're giving you a court of law. Also, they're giving you a financial instrument. Pay attention, because this is why they used to require your signature. Now they won't require your signature. They're going to robo-sign that financial instrument with the signature from the state. They're going to get that signature for your driver's license from the state. And they're going to robo-sign it, meaning they're going to electronically apply it to the financial instrument, which is illegal. But that's how they're getting by with monetizing the financial instrument known as a traffic ticket. Okay, so you get the traffic ticket, or cop pulls you over and they're asking you whatever questions, and they're taking your driver's license. Let's understand the driver's license is a financial instrument. Listen to what I'm saying. It is a financial instrument. Thank you, Savvy. So the driver's license is a financial instrument, meaning that it has a monetary value in itself. It's got your signature on it, doesn't it? That'll tell you right there. It's got your signature on it. So now, here's the deal. When you give that, to be honest with you, that should take care of whatever ticket they're trying to give you. But it's not. Because what they're going to do is they're going to take that, they're going to get that signature, they're going to robo sign it. Now that you don't even have to sign the ticket anymore. They just give you the ticket and then they robo sign it. Okay. So let's understand what's happening on the side of the road. This is the court of law. You think, oh, and I need to wait to, a month or so, and then I go to court, and then I can plead my case because I wasn't really speeding. See, because what had happened was I was behind another car. You want to give your details about what happened in this situation. But here's what's happening. In that court of law, what they have given you when they give you that ticket is a court of law. And they've said, they're saying, hey, I'm finding you. I'm citing you for breaking this law, which is really a code, statute, or ordinance. I'm citing you for breaking this law or code. And what happens is this is the beginning of what's known of as an administrative process. Write it down. If you don't know what I'm talking about, write it down and go look it up. All right, I'm giving you free information here. This is what I teach my students. So write it down and then go look it up. An administrative process. And I need y'all to understand something. You cannot get this from ChatGPT or AI. They're not going to tell you this stuff. They're going to tell you, oh, this, that sovereign citizen stuff. All of this is law. That's what I'm telling you is law. AI and ChatGPT and all that, they are programmed to not give you this information and just tell, well, you just got to pay the ticket because you got to obey them. And I'm not saying you don't have to obey. We're going to get into this. But what I am saying is you have to recognize that you need to be willing to do your research outside of that because they're not going to tell you the truth. What's happening is this is what's called an administrative process. All of these agents do it to you, all of them. They just don't tell you what it is. So watch, pay attention. He's going to give you this ticket. And what this is an administrative process. Let me tell you about how the administrative process works. Your first notice is where you're told about the infraction. Okay. Your second notice is where you are reminded about the infraction. The third notice now becomes a public situation where they're telling you, we're taking you to court. And then fourth is your public court. All right. This is how this game, this is the administrative process game. So pay attention. I'm putting you on notice so you can understand what's happening. This first notice is telling you, I'm citing you because you violated some codes, statutes, and ordinances. Now, remember I told you we have God-given rights, but you have signed over your God-given rights when you signed that driver's license, okay? And so now what happens is they're saying, hey, I'm going to sue you so that I can take away your God-given rights. That's what the traffic ticket is saying. Okay? You get ready to give me the right to take money from you because you violated one of our codes, which is really your God-given right. Thank you, Swalk, S-Walk. S-Walk says, hey, Diva, love you much. Hey, S-Walk, love you much. So now we're understanding this first notice. What has to happen, I'm going to stay right here on this first notice. What has to happen with this first notice is that you need to respond. And if you don't respond, because see, now they gave you a contract or they asked you if you want to do business with them. That's all this is. We're doing business. You on the side of the road, you in court, you're doing business, you're signing a financial instrument, you're making a contract. They just asked you, well, you want to do business because you broke one of our code statutes and ordinances. And then as a sovereign, you got to be able to say, well, now, I didn't break your code and I have God-given rights. You got to know how to respond. But the problem is you don't never respond. Most people, they're going to do, the cop is going to say, you need to show up in court in about 40 days. You need to show up in court in 40 days. Or pay the ticket. So you thinking, well, I'm going to show up in court. When the truth is, what you're supposed to do is respond within 10 days. My people know we're not going 10 days. Some people give you 15. But my people know we're not going past 10 days before we respond to this ticket. Now, when you're dealing with your mortgage and all these other people, they're going to send you a second notice. But these cops don't send you a second notice. They just send you the ticket and they say, well, show up in court. And so what has happened is 10 days go by and you haven't responded. That means you have agreed by tacit assent or tacit agreement. Look it up, write it down. TACIT, assent or TACIT agreement. Y'all do this all the time, every day, and you don't know that your rights are being taken away from you because you are agreeing because you said nothing. So pay attention, because y'all don't know the game. I'm showing you what the game is. Now you know the game, you know how to play. So they give you the ticket and they say, well, show up in court in 30 to 40 days. Well, after 10 days, you've already agreed that whatever they want you to pay, you agree that you owe it. And the problem is you get in the court and you thinking you're going to argue. You go, well, Your Honor, I wasn't really speeding. See, what happened was, and by that time, you're already guilty. You've already agreed to pay whatever it is because by the administrative process, you have failed to respond. Okay? That's the game. Look up administrative process and understand how to work the game. Okay? Who is this? Laurel, you're right. And I'm going to get into that in a second and why we have a trust. Okay? So you get into court. And what ends up happening is, again, you think that you're going to argue. And you think that you're going to make a statement to the judge. Well, by now you're already guilty because you never responded. You never sent in any documentation. You never put anything in writing. And it's 40 days later, you have agreed already. Okay? And they're not going to tell you that. The judge is going to pretend like, well, I'm going to hear your case. I'm going to hear you out. Okay, $500. You didn't have it. What does they call that? The registration, $500. Tag expired, $400. So they're hitting you with these fines. And so I need this to be made clear too, going into the court. Along every step of the way, there is always remedy. From the beginning of the cop pulling you over to you being in court, the judge saying you're guilty. There's always remedy. But I need you to understand something when you walk into that court. Those tickets that I told you they're going to robo-sign, they're very fraudulent. And you are not the one who's on trial when you walk into that court. They created these financial documents. Thank you for the love. Who is that? Crystal, thank you for the love. All right. When you walk into court, the one who is on trial is the prosecutor. That's who's on trial. So let's say your name is Jack Black. Okay. You walk into trial, Jack Black is not you. Jack Black is the prosecutor. And if you step in there, what they need you to say is, I'm Jack Black. That's what they need you to say. But if you say, I'm the authorized representative for the estate, the prosecutor has to pay for whatever the fines are that they're saying you owe. You know why? Because he done created these financial instruments and they have your all capital letter name on it. But until you say, I am the one who's responsible for this, the prosecutor's got to pay. Never say I'm that person, because you are agreeing to be a dead entity, and Jack Black is really the dead entity because Jack Black has done some stuff that has put himself on the line. And if you never take control or take charge, Jack Black got to pay for that ticket. Now, I need this to be made clear. They're going to try to threaten you. They're going to try to intimidate you and make you say your name. I've gone through this with my clients. If you are willing to stand, then again, they can't put that charge on you, and Jack Black has got to pay, or Jack Black, who's the prosecutor, has to pay for that. So I've had cases where, I've had to tell people, listen, when you go in, if you don't say that you're that name, then the prosecutor has to pay for that. And so when my client will walk in, if they're in their right mind, they're going to say what I told them to say. And then the person who has to pay is the prosecutor. But I've had people where one guy in particular, they had the bailiff start rattling his handcuffs like, what's your name? And he was like, I'm the authorized representative. And you got the bailiff back here taking off his handcuffs. He's like, no, I'm Jack Black. I'm Jack Black. And he suddenly stops. Everything goes back to being calm because they needed to intimidate him into saying that because they don't want to pay for the bill. Okay. I need you to understand this game. Once again, because people don't understand the game, they'd be so frustrated and not recognizing that there is remedy all along the way. I need to go back to what Laurel said. I put UCC1, all right, in your trust that we help you to create, okay? This is a full trust. And it's not only on county record, it's on federal record, not only with the post office, but the UPU, okay? So you got to understand how to be federally protected. And the UCC1 is what's called a friendly lien. And so what it does is it puts a value on your all capital letter name. Pay attention to what I just said. Because remember I told you, when you walk into the court, you're not Jack Black. And I'm talking about all capital letter Jack Black, because that's a corporate entity. It's not you. That all capital letter name on your driver's license, on your passport, on all your bills, that's not you. That's your corporate entity that your mother created when she signed your birth certificate. So what happens is when you walk in there, this prosecutor is really standing as your corporate entity. And the only thing a court can do business with is your corporate entity. It cannot do business with you, the spiritual entity. I'm going to say this again for the people in the back of the room. When you walk into court, the only thing the court can do business with is your all capital letter dead fictitious entity. It cannot do business with you, the spiritual entity, so that when they saying your name or they're sounding your name, they are only calling the all capital letter name. They can't say the upper and lowercase spiritual entity because they can't see it and they can't do business with it. So now, really, the prosecutor is standing as the dead corporate entity, but they need you to come in and say, you're the dead corporate entity. And then as soon as you do, the charge goes back to you and off of the prosecutor. But until you say you are that dead fictitious entity, the prosecutor going to be over there sweating bullets. Lovely is always all caps. Lovely asked the question, what if it's not all caps? It's always all caps. If you're in court, listen, let me tell you about courts. All courts are private entities. They tell you, oh no, it's for the government. They're not government. They're private entities. The only thing they can deal with is a dead entity. It's got to be an all cap entity or they can't do business with it. It's always all caps. So when you're walking into court, again, they're sounding your name. They don't say it. When I sound your name, because they can't say your spiritual name, because they can't see it. Okay? And thank you for the question. If y'all have any questions, put them in the comment section so I can get to them before I get out of here. Now, getting back to this question about what if it's not the all cap name? When you first walking into court and before the judge comes in, they say, all rise. Pay attention to what I just said. When you're walking into court and the judge is about to come in, they say, all rise. Let's understand that this is a seance. Going back to the topic of the session today, legal system versus universal, natural, and spiritual law. Okay? When you walk into the court and you hear them say, all rise, this is a spiritual seance. And what they're saying is all the dead rise. Because that's the only thing they can deal with is dead entities in that court. So again, now you're seeing how the spiritual side ends up being entangled with this legal. Spiritual dealing with God. This legal system dealing with what man has created. And what's happening is that they created these corporate entities because as dead entities, they don't have the right to do business with you as a spiritual entity. Okay? All right, so I hope we're clear on that. Going into this now, you're going into court and you're trying to plead your case. And again, until you say, because when they say, because they're going to do an arraignment, okay? And in this arraignment, they're not going to hold the case that day in most cases. What they're going to do, they need you to be guilty, not guilty, no low. Guilty, not guilty, no low. Which one of them? And your thing, you need to understand that when you do either one of these, guilty, not guilty, or no low, what you have done is put yourself under the jurisdiction of that court. What does that mean? That means you have consented to be judged by that court and not by God. Guilty, not guilty, or no law. But when you say, I'm the authorized representative for the estate, and you can say, I'm here to settle this matter concerning the taxes, because that's really all it's dealing with. I'm here to settle this matter on taxes. Well, then they're gonna have to. You're gonna be late. By the way, you if you decide to go into court, first of all, we don't even want to be in court like that, because we will have written a notice beforehand letting them know we don't consent to do business with them. That's what we as sovereigns do. I did not make any agreement with you to take away my God-given rights, blah, blah, blah. And we send them a notice in, so we're not ending up in court here. And if I'm in court here and you haven't recognized my notice, then I'm going to take you to court. And that's exactly the situation I'm in right now. Well, I've had to take a county and a sheriff's office to court, federal court. And so the thing is that once you send in your notice, first of all, your notice is going to precede you. You're not going to walk into court and you don't have your own court already established. Let me go back, because I just said something that people might not recognize. When I let's just say I get a ticket, and then I'm going to use that as evidence, and I'm going to send that into them, letting them know I do not consent to do business with them. I just created an administrative process. I just created a court of law. I just put them on notice. I've also sent in my fines on my court of law, letting them know that I don't consent to your jurisdiction. And so now it's a situation where now you got to respond to me. And when you don't respond to me, then again, you have not been contracted. Again, if they can do it to us, then we have the right to do it to them. The problem is we haven't been recognizing what the laws are and how to play the game. So I've sent them a court of law. And that law, if I'm going into court for them, they're going to already have my court. So you establish your own court inside of their court. Let me go back, because some people don't understand this either. Okay. I don't want to use that one. 1 second. All right, watch this. If I'm writing on this, I'm establishing laws. This becomes a court. And let's understand, it's the same thing as when we're playing a game, because this is a game. All this is a game. So it's got 4 corners. You see these 4 corners? It's a court. Basketball court, tennis court, football field. All of them have laws. Don't they have laws? Soccer court. Same thing. Just 4 corners. And then the laws. What are the laws? And then when I write this court and I send it in, especially when I put it through the mail with a registered mail label, that becomes a federal court. Pay attention. With laws that I have established as a sovereign. So this becomes a court now when I send it into them and I let them know that these are my laws. That's why I tell y'all, hold on. That's why I tell y'all about the beginning law book. I'm putting all these laws in my court that I send to them. I'm making sure they know what my God said. I'm making sure they know that I stand on universal laws and universal principles. I'm making sure they know the hierarchy of laws. So there's no question. So when I step in here, we already know what the deal is. And when I step in there, my court is within their court. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay. So getting back to this now, you're in the court, and the situation is that, first of all, like I said, we don't even want to be in their court. We prefer to handle this paper wise. That's why we're always going to send this off. In most cases, when you send this off, they receive it. They got to drop the case. When you send them a notice, if they in their right mind, they're going to drop the case. But they messed around. Now I'm taking you to federal court. I'm ready to hit you with fines so high, you would have wished you dropped that case. But that's what they're supposed to do, drop the case. When you told them you don't care to do business with them. Okay. But you're in court. And so let's understand that if you're in court and you make any type of a plea, what you have done is consented to be under the jurisdiction of that court. Now, especially if it's one of these lower courts, no, there's no guarantee they're going to do right. Okay. But you still need to know what the laws are, because there's still always remedy. And I'm going to tell you some of the remedy too. So pay attention. And again, the things that I'm telling you here, you're not going to get in law school. Lawyers, if they know it, they can't tell you because they're going to be disbarred. So pay attention and take notes, because I'm giving you the free stuff. This is real. When you're in court and you, let's say, you say guilty, not guilty, or nolo. Really, when they sound your name, what you're supposed to be saying is, I'm the authorized representative. I'm here to handle the taxes concerning this case. All right? If it's done right, really the only thing you need to do is give your social security number and sign whatever document, and then you walk out. That's what's supposed to happen. If they in their right mind, they're just going, because they want your signature. That's really all they want, right? But some of them want to go through this whole cinema and have you standing there trying to plead your case, when if you know what to say, they're gonna do what they're supposed to do. Okay, I'm an authorized representative. I'm here to handle the taxes concerning this matter. Okay. So what might happen is, first of all, they're going to tell you to wait, because they don't want everybody seeing this. They don't want everybody hearing what you're about to say, because they know that you know and everybody else don't know, because this is their money. Take some time. If you ever get a chance, sit in a court where there's traffic tickets and watch how much money goes through this system. Watch. What they're going to do, guilty, not guilty, or nolo. If you say guilty, they're going to call all the guilty people up first. Okay, so what happened? Okay, well, see, what happened was I didn't have my ID, and then I didn't have my registration. So, but I have it now. Okay, I got $200. Click, and then they out. Somebody else come up. $300. Click, and then they out. Just watch how fast they get this money through. And that's why you got to wait, because you messing up the system. So if I call your name and you talking about I'm the authorized, okay, we're going to come back to you after I get the money. Okay? Then we're going to take the no-low people. The guilty and no-lows, we're taking them first, because we're going to get our money. All right? We're going to take the not guilty people, and we're going to reassign them a time to come back. And you know what you're going to have to do? They want you to sign. Once again, they're getting your signature, because when you sign, right, you signed over your rights again. You putting your signature down, and you're saying, I consent to be under the jurisdiction of this court. Okay? So at least I know, or at least they know, rather, that if you're saying not guilty, first of all, you said you are the dead entity. All right. Second of all, what you're going to do is you're going to sign saying that you'll come back at a later date and you consent to be under the jurisdiction of this court. Boom. But you who's talking about, well, I'm the authorized representative, you're going to be last. So just take time. Just go ahead and just know that you're going to be the last one up in there. Okay. I'm the authorized representative for the estate. Okay. There's going to be this whole rigmarole. They're going to try to look, are you guilty, not guilty? Which one is it? I said, I'm the authorized representative. I'd like to handle the situation concerning the taxes. Well, what? Look, ma'am, is guilty, not guilty, or no, which one? Are you guilty, not? Well, first of all, I'd like to know, what is the jurisdiction this court has? And you've heard people say that. What is the jurisdiction? Because you're not under. What are they saying when they say what is the jurisdiction? What they're saying is, okay, what is my crime? Who have I harmed? Because the truth is, when you're dealing with courts, unless you've harmed somebody physically, another living human being, then the court does not have any business with you. This is by the Constitution. Constitution. So when somebody says, what is your jurisdiction? Or what is the jurisdiction of this court over me? What they're saying is, who have I harmed? If I haven't harmed anybody physically, then this court doesn't have jurisdiction. And they're going to say, well, you harmed the laws and the code, statutes, and ordinance of the state but the state is not a living being. It's a dead entity. So then who have I harmed? And if the state is saying I harmed it, then the state needs to show up. I need to be able to face the one who's accusing me. I get to face my accuser in accordance with the Constitution. So who is it that's saying I harmed them, and where they at? Well, it's the state of Georgia. Well, where Georgia at? She need to show up. Is she not in here? Because she accusing me of harming her. Where's she at? And it can't be no representative showing up. She is accusing me. She needs to be here. Okay, that's what it means when somebody's saying, what is the jurisdiction? So if I have not harmed a physical person, then this court doesn't have jurisdiction. That means your code, statutes, and ordinances, those are things that I have to agree to be paying you for. And if I've written you a notice, which I have, because I'm not going to be up in this court without having my own court already on record, then you don't have jurisdiction. If I have any questions, put them in the comment section. Let me go over some other remedies that a lot of us are not aware of when we are in court, okay? When you're in court, there are financial instruments that have to be created by law in accordance with the Miller Act, MILLERACT, the Miller Act. And what does the Miller Act do? The Miller Act states that any kind of contractor must have insurance or be bonded. Any kind of contractor must have insurance or be bonded if they are proceeding with any kind of project, okay? And again, I say to you, all these courts are private entities. And the purpose of that Miller Act is to keep people from being able to sue the actual federal government, the true government, because the federal would be a true government. But then there are actors that act on behalf of the federal government, and they got to be bonded. So if we're talking about a court, United States District Court, they got to be bonded. Any kind of trial that they do, that thing got to have bond. Bid bond, payment bond, performance bond. Anybody who's ever opened a federal court, you know you had to put down 3 documents. 3. They don't look like bid bond, payment bond, performance bond, but you signing all 3 of them. And it's going to be in 3s, because what's going to happen is those instruments that you have signed, because as soon as you sign it, it turns into an instrument which can be monetized. Bid bond, payment bond, performance bond. All of them have to be created on not only federal cases, but then you got your lower courts too, and they deal with the Little Miller Act, whereby they do the same thing. Bid bond, payment bond, performance bond. There's got to be a bond opened up on that case such that any of the fines or whatever expenses come from that case are paid for from that bid bond, payment bond, performance bond. Okay? And so let's recognize some things. Those bonds are in your name. They belong to you. And by law, you have a right to them. But because you don't know about them, you never claimed them. So I'm going to tell you a term. I'm giving y'all some the heat. Hope you're writing it down and taking notes. Those bonds belong to you and you have the right to claim them, and they take care of the payment on anything concerning the case. So even if the judge was like, oh, you did this and this and this, and you were speeding $1,000. All right. What should you say then? The term is subrogation. 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 Bid bond, payment bond, performance bond. Yes. Okay. Subrogation. You have a right to those financial instruments. The thing is, you've never been told about them because the court keeps them. The courts get the fat pockets off of every case that is filed. Those are your financial instruments. Even the tickets, they're your financial instruments. And so they're going to hit you with this large fine. And the truth is, it's already paid for. And this is why, even if you're walking in after your arraignment for the actual trial, you're walking in, you really should be saying, I'm the authorized representative. They want you to say you are the name. But if you say I'm the authorized representative, this prosecutor going to be over here shaking in their boots because they got to pay. Now, I don't even think the judge has told them about the financial instruments. But you know, and you should be saying, Judge, I get the $1,000 fine. I'd like to subrogate with the financial instruments concerning the case. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to play dumb. They're going to say, we don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here. We don't know what you're talking about. They know exactly what you're talking about. And then they'll say something like, well, we're going to recess, and I'm going to send you back. We're going to have you to come back in a week. Yeah, they're stalling because those financial instruments belong to you. And the minute you ask for them, it's going to be, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. Subrogation. For the record, I know that there are financial instruments concerning this case. By law, all cases must have financial instruments, insurance, bonds, and they belong to me because they're in my name. Why are they in my name? Because you or your organization is dead and fictitious, and the only thing that can create money in this court is me. So I know they're in my name. Subrogation. If you have any questions, I want you to leave them in the comment section. All right. All right. So let's get into this now. Let me get into some questions I have here. And thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all found this information well. S-Walk says, where can I find the information that explains that only a dead corp can only deal with a dead corp and it is illegal for them to do business with a natural person? You have to study. You're not going to get this from AI. And once you're studying and you get into law and you start learning how the system operates, it's going to become clear. All right. It's your all cap letter name. And let's start here. Look at your driver's license, passport, bills. Look at all these different things that come in your name. It's got to be all caps. That's the only one they could deal with. If they're doing the upper and lower case, you got to understand they could get in a lot of trouble for that. because they can't do business as a dead entity with your spiritual you. Okay. Gracious says, can you make a video discussing the pros and cons of being sovereign in USA Turtle Island? Okay, I can do that right now. Give me a second. Let me answer all these other questions. Hold on. Hey, Crystal, welcome. Yes, you are what? Give me a second. I'm trying to see my people on TikTok. TikTok, welcome. An original, thank you so much for the love. Crystal, thank you for the love. Armor, yep, you got it. Bid bond, payment bond, performance bond. Mario says yes. Mario, thank you for the badge. I appreciate you. Crystal, thank you for the love. Chesty says crazy town in here. Okay. I'm just checking to see if I have any questions before I get out of here. Armor says intimidating. That's exactly what they try to do to you in court. So if you don't know how to stand, you're going to have some issues. And thank you again, Laurel says, I put my UCC. Angel said, Diva is the truth when it comes to the administrative process. Thank you, Angel. We did a lot of administrative process with Angel. So thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you, Angel. Let me see if I have any more. Okay, let me get into this last one, and then we're going to get out of here. Gracious says, what are the pros and cons of being sovereign in USA Turtle Island? All right, so here are the pros of being sovereign. Okay, now, first of all, let's understand what it is to be sovereign, because a lot of people do not get that. Being sovereign means that you stand as your own nation. Thank you for the love, Crystal. Being sovereign means that you stand as your own nation. And so what this is whereby you also stand under God's laws and have a respect for universal laws. So this is somebody who is master of self. They're not about hitting on nobody, they're about keeping their hands to themselves. They're about respecting other people's property, not taking things that don't belong to them. They're about walking in honor, kindness, compassion, love, honor, integrity, and respect. That's what a sovereign does. And as easy as it might sound, like, oh, well, that's what everybody does. Let's make it clear that is not what everybody does. So for me, I'm not upset with the system. Some people need to stay in the system because they don't know how to walk as a sovereign. I'm going to be clear and honest about this. So I'm not fighting with the system. I'm just telling you how to operate in the system when you're in your right mind. But as a sovereign, you have mastery of self, meaning you operate in God's law, in kindness, compassion, love, honor, integrity, and respect. Now, watch this now. Because when you don't do that, then this is when the repercussions show up and people want to act like they're victims. Okay. The advantage of being a sovereign is that you stand on your God-given rights. You are not tied or affected by what this government declares it wants to do. As a sovereign, you know how to get money, because for me as a sovereign, I work for the universe. That means that if I need, I'm going to the universe. I'm going to God. I'm not going to man. I'll say, God, I need some insight on how to. Or I'm going to put things in place because I understand universal laws. If I need Federal Reserve notes, I know how to put things in place so I get Federal Reserve notes. And I don't mean I'm going out blood, sweat, and tears and I'm working hard. The universe makes it very easy for us. The universe makes it very easy for us. So if you know how the universe works, then you're going to put those laws into play for you so that everything you need is already showing up because you know what you need in the future. Okay, in the future, I'm going to need this. So let me put this into play right here because I know how the universe works. Okay. That's the advantage that you have the ability to contract or not contract with the different agents and agencies. If there is an agency, you know how to contract with it and how to deal with it in a certain way. And if you don't want to contract with this agent over here, you know how to say, look, I don't care to contract with you over here. We also go into what we call conflict management. If you're dealing with an agent that's overzealous, how to manage the situation so that it doesn't turn into a violent situation. Conflict management, we deal with that. Okay, those are the advantages. You know how to walk. The disadvantage is when, as a sovereign, you do something that is not kind, compassionate, loving, honor, integrity, respect, you don't have anybody to blame. A sovereign is a master of self. You don't get to blame somebody because, well, you know, this happened to me, and you can't be a victim. Also, when as a sovereign you make a mistake, the repercussions are much harsher than they would be if you had stayed a citizen. Put this on the screen for me, Savvy. The cons of being a sovereign is, as we're seeing up here, this is where you are as a sovereign. If you do something that is wrong, as a sovereign, your repercussions are much harsher than they would be if you were a citizen. If you steal from somebody down here as a citizen, you might go to jail. But do that same crime up here as a sovereign, you could lose a limb or your life. Let's be clear. The system shows up because people have forgotten to act in their right mind. If everybody was to a kind person, and if they say that they did what they said they were going to do, then we wouldn't have to have a credit reporting system because everybody pay money back. Like if everybody was okay, I'm gonna borrow some money and I'm gonna pay it back when I say I pay it back. There's no need for a credit reporting system because everybody operates in their right mind. There's no need for a police station because nobody's going to be reported, well, somebody broke in my house and somebody stole my car and somebody hit me. There's no need for that if everybody operated in their right mind. Some people not getting that because they're victims. Stay in this system, please. Don't come out here if you don't know how to be accountable for your own actions. Stay in the system. But when you become a sovereign, you have a responsibility to be accountable for your actions. Meaning, if you are taking things, you don't know how to keep your hands off other people's stuff, you don't know how to keep your hands to yourself, stay in the system. Because you're going to be in a world of trouble because there's still another set of laws, universal laws, natural laws that you got to deal with. And if you're not ready to be accountable, stay where you are. So if I've had people to ask me, well, if I become a sovereign and I got a job, does that mess with my job? Not at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, your job wages, they already belong to you. All right. So what it does, when you put your job on notice, it keeps the IRS or the whoever else from garnishing your wages when you're under trust. Your bank account, it keeps the IRS and anybody else who, the child protective and the whoever else who want to come into your bank account, it keeps them from stealing your wages or your money in your bank account. There's all kind of advantages to being sovereign. The disadvantage, the only disadvantage I see, is if you're sovereign and you're acting like you're not in your right mind, you're going to lose way more than just jail time. Okay, you're going to get way more than just jail time for any kind of negative things or negative energies that you're putting out. I hope that answers your question. All right. Does anybody else have any questions before I get out of here? I want to thank you, TikTok, for joining. Thank you, all my people on YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. Halo. Anybody else have any questions before I get out of here? Thank you for joining. Gracious, did I answer your question? If I did, let me know. Crystal says, speaking the truth. All right, thank you, Crystal. Crystal says, I agree. I am the master. Okay, so you get it. Now, if you are, thank you, Savvy. So if you are a master of self, understand these are the principles: kindness, compassion, love, honor, integrity, respect. You got to have that. Okay. If you are outside of that, stay in the system. If you don't know how to act and behave in that manner, stay where you are, because you're going to have a world of trouble if you get out here and become a sovereign and you think, well, the system can't touch me. I told you I'm not fighting the system, because I understand why it showed up in the first place. If you don't want to be a part of it, then become sovereign and learn how to conduct yourself in a sovereign manner, and then you won't have to deal with that system. Okay, I want y'all to know I love you. I appreciate you. We're going to see you next week. I'm out. Diva. Where's my music? Hold on. There you go. I love y'all. I'm out. Bye. Give me a hug.